Hi, everybody. We're pleased to welcome back to Krannert our guest speaker tonight, John Annakin. He earned a BS in Industrial Management from us a few years back. As I go around the country and I speak to our various alumni high-placed in different companies, there's a common theme to it. Over and over again, there are BSIM graduates. And so we have an awful lot of folks in great places who are graduates of that program. And so it's good to see yet another one here with John. He spent more than 25 years doing strategic and team management in the application software and cloud services space. He's formerly the Executive Vice President of Sales and Business Development at CloudOne Corporation. He was named Chief Revenue Officer at CloudOne on May 1st. So in about, we've had about 3 days to get the revenue in order.
Yeah.
So
same job, different title. Same job.
I see. Very
Same
good.
job.
This one sounds better.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It sounds much better. That's great. Okay, so that's good. CloudOne's a Fisher-based IT company. They assemble, deploy, and manage clients' Internet of Things solutions. So we were just out in California meeting with a bunch of our BSIM graduates who are now in prominent positions in Silicon Valley and other Bay Area companies. And we had these conversations about where things were going, kind of the intersection of technology and business, where the future was. And a theme that kept coming up over and over and over again was the need for, lots and lots of talent have been focused on Qt applications and consumer applications, but the future for a lot of business development was Internet of Things. And so as we were having this conversation about what kind of investments our program should be making and what kind of directions we should be taking, this kept coming up over and over and over again. So it's good to know that we've got some well-placed people, so as we get some guidance on what we need to be doing, we have some people who have a great deal of expertise there. So CloudOne has 100 or so clients that include Cummins and medical device maker Johnson & Johnson. He just made news for announcing $9 million in new and existing investors to accelerate the firm's investments in the Internet of Things space. The Indiana Business Journal, if you follow that, named CloudOne one of the 25 fastest growing companies in Indiana in 2015. John's been a key player in that growth, and tonight he's going to be discussing with us some activity related to Internet of Things, and I believe he's going to present first and then take some questions at the end. Is that right?
I guess. Questions.
Well, that can work that way?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. No, okay. I'm not going anywhere. So.
Okay, very good. Please welcome John Annakin.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, everybody. So I have not been back into this school, into this auditorium, or any part of this school since graduating like 5 years ago. 25 years ago, it's been that long. And here I am that many years later, talking to what I consider peers. So it's an honor to be in front of you guys, an honor to be talking. So let's just start with one earth-shattering comment I'm going to make, which is kind of the elephant in the room, which is IoT, Internet of Things. It's a horrible name. We agree? Everyone agree with that? It's a terrible, terrible name. I don't even know what it is. Is it a name? Is it a term? Is it a phrase? It's bad because anybody who hears it for the first, so I heard that phrase for the first time 3.5 years ago at an IBM conference. This guy who's in charge of their software development tools said it, and I thought, oh, that's not going to last. Good try, Internet of Things. I learned later that he didn't coin it. It's like 8, 9 years old. But I remember thinking, that is a terrible thing. And anybody that hears it, from my kids' age to my parents, all say the same thing, which is, what is that? It's awful. The reason it's awful is because nobody likes it the first time. Secondly, if you're a company and you have an IoT initiative, you never call it IoT. It's never that. It's a connected vehicle or telematics, right? Or smart garage door opener. It's never IoT. So because no one likes the name, no one likes to use it, I think it's a very misunderstood and misused term. People just kind of throw it about and think it's a Fitbit, which is IoT, but it's a very simple version of IoT. So before I get into anything, let's just start and level set the room here with what it is, and the best way for me to do it is to kind of talk about a real life context. And then when we're done, if you don't like that term, that's fine, but for this speech, this is what this is about. This is IoT. Okay. And I'm going to get my clicker too. So imagine you're in a car driving late at night, really late. We won't talk about why you be in a car at 10 till 3 in the morning. Nothing happens good at that late at night, but say you are. And your car notices that you are not keeping the lane as you should be. And so it says to you, you want some coffee. In fact, what it really says in a heads-up display, so you guys can see that, is, hey, there's a Starbucks 2 miles up. You want your favorite drink, the venti chai latte? Which is another, we're not going to talk about why that'd be your favorite drink. It should be Americano or something. And you say, or you click something, you say, yeah. And so the car then will change the GPS system to direct you to that Starbucks, or maybe it pops up on your phone. And then behind the scenes, it's hitting your credit card or Chase Bank or something, talking to the Starbucks online ordering system, ordering your drink. You show up, it's there, you're back on your way. Okay, so that is the Internet of Things for a company called Panasonic. They call it connected vehicle. Panasonic makes hair dryers, microwaves, televisions, Tesla batteries. They are also the largest infotainment supplier in the world for cars. Used to be dominant, now they have competition, which is why this is happening. This is IoT for Panasonic. And IoT really can be defined as your thing speaking for you, right? But again, the Fitbit would be your thing speaking to you about you. That's IoT, but it's a very, unsatisfying version of it. In the case we just went through, think about what that really was, right? That was your car speaking for you to other stuff in the car, lane detection system, understanding where you are in the world, what time it is, your actions. It now has to infer based on that maybe you're tired. It then needs to know what you like to drink, how to get money, how to talk to Starbucks. All that happens in like 3 seconds, and most of that stuff's not in the car, it's somewhere else. That's what IoT is, right? It's much broader than that. And really what this is the car protecting you and protecting itself, but really what it is, it's really ingraining you to that car. That's now the personality of that car, which changes Panasonic's business model, which changes the car's business model, whether it's GM or Ford. This is where IoT is going. That's why Professor Cannon, his title tomorrow is like, IoT's changing the world, transferring people. It's not an understatement. It really is. It's the way business is going. Have you guys come across in your own companies these kind of initiatives, data analytics or software development and embedded sensors? You guys see that? So that's what IoT is. It's just a really bad name and no one understands what it means. But one thing that's really important to understand about the Panasonic story, and it's a story of every company, is the fact that 10 years ago, Panasonic made this. Not 40 years ago, not in the 50s. 10 years ago, actually 11 years ago, old slide. But just think about that. The entire company was wrapped up into electricians and soldering irons and injection molding. And the only thing they cared about was, does that radio slide into the Chevy Cruze dashboard, and can it click into the wire in the back? So they went from that to this in 10 years. Why? Right? Did you guys ask for your things to speak for yourself? I don't. Right? It's nice, but no, who's demanding that? How do they get there? What are they battling with? Right? Those are the things that I'll talk about. The components of IoT, why are companies doing this? What are the things they have to worry about? Why is there a giant industry of companies like CloudOne? There's probably 1,000 of us around the world. Why are we here? What are we solving for these companies? We'll dive into that, okay? So, my name is John Annakin. I work for a company called CloudOne based in Fishers, Indiana. For you guys not local, it's a suburb of Indianapolis, which is very similar to Silicon Valley. It's technology epicenter of the world. I graduated in '91 from Krannert. My wife's actually in the room. We met here 22 years ago last week. And this is our anniversary. We're going to spend the night in Union and go to Harry's. That's the kind of guy I am. Seriously. $100 and probably $20 at Harry's. So, yeah, we met here at a class, OBHR class, if anybody went to Krannert. Terrible class, I hated that class. I'm on video, sorry. After Purdue, you fall into a career that you just fall into because I needed a job. Got into complex software sales, ERP systems, then into integration, orchestration tools, data integration, service buses, and then tech-enabled services and cloud. So all the kind of the same stuff: technology, complex software, and cloud services. In 2012, I joined a company called CloudOne, private company, started about 2010. Started with angel funding from a bunch of Colts players, funny enough, and we've been through a few rounds of funding since then. So I'm not going to give a pitch on CloudOne, but just so you know, this is a struggle for me. When I talk about IoT, I'm trying to sell you on our company, so I'm not going to do that. I'll make this more educational as much as I can, so give me a break if I try to sell our company too much. But CloudOne, let me give you the little elevator pitch, and then we'll move on. I need to build credibility to the crowd, right? Because you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't sound very technical, and I don't really look that bright. You're correct, and you're correct. But I have eyes and ears, so I've seen stuff, all right? So that's my credibility. CloudOne, our go-to-market strategy is very simple. We pair up with very large software development companies that make software tools to help large companies that many of you guys work for with their IoT initiatives. So software companies like IBM, like SAS Institute, like Tableau, PTC, MathWorks, those kind of companies, there's thousands of them. Their lives are basically to make tools that they sell to giant companies so those companies can do IoT. And we'll talk about what that means as we go through this. Those companies are great at making those tools, but they're not very good at delivering them in the way that, again, companies that you guys work for want those delivered, which is called software as a service. Most companies nowadays want to just pay for the software by the drink, like you pay for your cable or your cell phone bill. It should be there, it should be accessible, I should use it because I have the job, I have to make this radio for GM. I don't want to worry about all this stuff, just give it to me. So what we do is we partner with those big companies, they try to sell their software, we sidle up and say, we'll help you two guys figure that out, right? So that simple go-to-market strategy for us has been really a rocket ship. We've grown 1,200% since 2012, which is when I started, but that's coincidence. What's happened in those years is cloud is accepted. Security issues are a little less for large companies. This whole idea of SaaS has taken off, so the timing's been very right. But you get the awards that no one cares about except for the company that works and gets the awards. So that's what I do. I'm in charge of their sales and marketing partnerships. Okay. Let's get back to our story. So Panasonic, 10 years ago, made this. And they had to change. They had to move from being an electronics manufacturer to a software developer. That was the first phase of IoT, software development. Why? Because people like Ford or Honda realized that their cars are kind of a commodity, and the next phase is fancy-dancy touchscreens, infotainment systems. Everybody had to have these little GPS, but even though it's on your phone, they wanted it all there. That's to differentiate their car from the other car. So these guys would either die, because those are dead, or they could be in the infotainment business. So they decided to get into the business, and in 2014, this is actually their slide from a CES show in 2013 of the 2015 Mercedes S-Class radio. This is their product. So in 10 years, they went from that to this, which is what you guys kind of see today. Not that you drive S-Classes, but in your car, it hooks up to your phone, it's got GPS, it's here in the middle, it's also in your dashboard. I think it's fair to say that infotainment systems are the personality and the main interface for cars now. So people like Panasonic are critical to OEMs. So they got into this space, which is a space of making 20 million lines of code, which sounds, okay, ho-hum, but let me give you some context here. I think it's important. The last fighter jet had 1.7 million lines of code in the entire jet. The most advanced commercial airliner built today, the Dreamliner, has 6.5 million lines of code in the entire plane. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class radio has 20 million lines of code. The car has 100 million lines of code, which is why you want to buy those with warranty and certified, right, long-term, because that stuff breaks, right? How'd they do that? How did Panasonic go from soldering irons, oscilloscopes, and injection molding to becoming a large software development company? The answer is they outsourced everything, right? The alternative is they hire 5,000 people. Crazy, can't do that. So they just said, we'll outsource it. So they outsourced it to India, to the Ukraine, to Vietnam, to anywhere in the States, to Canada, just people who are in the businesses of coding, right? Which is a problem. If you're going to say to an OEM, I will build your infotainment system, it's private, it's a private asset, it's your IP, they can't have non-employees using this tool and drilling into their networks, right? Traipse around in their LAN. It has to be, by definition, in the cloud, but it has to be a private cloud, very locked down cloud space. Just a quick, side lesson. Again, I'm not technical, but I fake it pretty good. Cloud is very different than it was 5 years ago. So it used to be you would buy. It's servers, right? You think of data centers, you think a bunch of servers. I have this server, and these are my servers, and there's a gate around it. It's changed now where it's all virtualized. It's basically huge compute instance farms and huge storage farms. And software says, this instance, this compute power is yours, and this is your storage, and we're going to tie them together, and we're going to make what's called a virtual LAN. None of it's real. It's just the computer fakes everything out, so it thinks it's private, and it is private, but it thinks it's its own little physical space. It's all just software virtualized LANs, which makes it very cheap. Cloud's very elastic, so if Panasonic loses a GM account, which they did, we just turn it off. They stop paying. The alternative is they have to fire 1,000 people and get rid of 19 servers, and it doesn't make any sense. It has to be in the cloud. It's up and down, it grows and contracts as the work does. Something else about the cloud that's really important, a side benefit, but probably even, I think, one of the paramount benefits is now they can control these vendors who come and go. These giant firms have thousands of developers. They come and go. They control their access to the tools, right? The tools are here. These guys bought tools from IBM in this case to help them to do software development, which we'll talk about. But it'll also allow them to collaborate with their vendors and their customers. So if they didn't have the cloud, they have to send a thumb drive to like Toyota and say, hey, how's this code? Do you like it? Is this what you wanted? And then it gets shipped back and takes months. Now they just give Toyota access to the tools in the cloud. And they have all these vendors, like the GPS is not Panasonic's, it's Garmin or TomTom. And the touch screen for all the, the recognition of your fingers and the software, that's like a company called QNX, which is owned by BlackBerry RAM. So it's just cobbling together all this stuff, which is very, very complex to deliver a piece of software to GM that boots up in 3 seconds every time without fail. Crazy business they're in, right? The second thing they have to have happen is somebody has to do all that for them and manage all that for them. They can decide to do it themselves, but they don't because Panasonic's IT staff is used to what? Used to like email and like SAP, right? Again, they were electricians 10 years ago, so they have no idea how to do any of this stuff, so it gets totally outsourced. People like CloudOne, right? So they have to worry about, and your companies are going through this today, just deploying this stuff and keeping it upgraded. When you patch something over here, this stuff breaks, taking trouble tickets in the middle of the night, user administration, backup recovery, security, it's just a big mess. So usually this stuff is just all outsourced and delivered to a company like Panasonic in a pay-as-you-drink monthly bill, which is called software as a service. Okay, we got that? Okay, so what do all these companies have in common? Besides being CloudOne customers? Pitch there. Not the vertical, right? We got hamburger makers, we got seat heaters, hotels, medical devices, petroleum. All these companies are all major software developers and major data analytics firms because they have to be, because if not, they'll go away, right? So what does that mean? So Panasonic had that neat S-Class infotainment system, but the problem is Harman, which is now the second largest infotainment system, also CloudOne customer, came into the game. Harman's JBL, Infinity, Harman Kardon. And so they're neck and neck, and if you looked at their systems, it's the same. You wouldn't have any difference. By the way, Panasonic has black dials with silver rings on each side. That's their signature. And then you guys it's a commodity. And now Apple and Google are coming into the game. Panasonic has to go to the next level, IoT. And they have to, it used to be software development's great, now it has to be much more than that, which is that type of data, communication, and analytics, or they're going to lose the game. It's the same story in all of these companies, and I guarantee, I saw some of the names where you guys work, it's the same with you. Insurance, trailer companies, right, appliances, they all have to get in this game. What is that game? Let's go through a couple more examples. Okay, so you get a knock on the door. It's the guy from UPS, although in this case, he's wearing a nondescript brown suit. I wouldn't open the box. Let's just say he's UPS. And in the box is a pack of hoses from Whirlpool. Why'd you get hoses? Well, you might not even know this. I don't even know what brand washing machine we have, frankly. Is it Whirlpool? It's Whirlpool, right? No? All right. You got hoses because your washing machine, probably you didn't know this, when it's in use, it's firing back data packets back to headquarters, actually back into our cloud, but Whirlpool's headquarters. It's called 6Sense and it's called Connected Appliance, but it's sending this data back. And the data apparently told Whirlpool, using some predictive analysis, that we think the hoses are going to fail here. Now in the past, Whirlpool, big traditional company, been around for years, if they didn't have this service, your washing machine would break, these would break, it would flood. If it's on the second floor, it'd flood your kitchen. You would hate Whirlpool for life, and you'd go buy Kenmore. Well, they just bought Kenmore, and they bought KitchenAid and everything else. So that strategy played out. Now, we have these competitors from Asia, right? Samsung, we have Samsung. Bosch, right? All of these global competitors, it is a commodity. Whirlpool, I can't tell the difference. No one can tell the difference. It's all the same. This makes them different, right? This says to the customer, hey, here's the hoses. They were going to fail, but they're not now. Here's some instructions on how to put them in. Or you know what? Here's 3 service centers. Give them a call. They'll come do it for free. What does that do to Whirlpool? Now, I love Whirlpool. What an awesome service. When this thing finally dies, why don't you buy another one? Why buy something else? I'd say, do you guys have this service? And they would say, what are you talking about? This is IoT for Whirlpool, and it's changing their business, okay? You're in your basement, you're doing some woodworking. That wouldn't be me. I have no idea how to do that. That is a saw, some kind of saw, table saw, right? You're working, your phone rings. On the other line is the manufacturer of this table saw, can't give the name, but they'll say, hey, it's overheating. Let's do some triage together. You figure it out on the phone, figure out that the dust from your cutting went into the vent, it's overheating, clean it out, things are great. You just think, this is awesome, I love this vendor now. And then that night you get something in your inbox for half off coupon for a shop vac for the dust it caused. See what we're talking about? There's a pattern here, changes that company's life. You're arriving late into LaGuardia, you were supposed to get there at 3 in the afternoon, it's 11 o'clock. With Hilton, anybody have the Hilton app on your phone? Okay. Have you used it lately? Yeah. Okay, check this out. Hilton, client of ours. So what's Hilton? I don't know, it's like a Westin, it's like a Hyatt. They're all Marriott, they're all the same. Same story. Used to be branding, now it's just like whatever's there and the cheapest I got on Kayak and I don't care. Well, that's bad for them, so they have an app that allows you to do the following. You can go on to the app, find a hotel, buy the room. When you check in, there's a map. You pick out the room in the map, and now walk into the hotel and go to your room and open it with your phone. This is from my phone, from the Hilton in Lisle from 8 weeks ago. Picture of my phone. So that is awesome. Who likes to go to the front desk to have the uncomfortable banter with the person and they get the water and thank you for being an honored Admiral's Club, whatever that is, right? I just walk in, go to my room, don't talk to anybody. It's awesome. So why wouldn't I just go to Hilton from now on? I don't want to wait in line. That changes they're years ahead of everyone else, right? It sounds easy, it's not. They have to know where you are. For the elevator, it's got to know where you are. You're by the sensors. But what they get too, besides a nice customer service, is they know your patterns, what kind of rooms you like. When you leave the hotel, out of the premises, close out your bill, you get a bill. Like they know your patterns, where you stay. It's good for them. I guess it's good for the customer. I think it's unique. Same kind of story here. Last example. Cummins, very important customer of ours. This is our first really data analytics IoT firm that we kind of dove into. Our history was software development, cloud. The last 3 years it's been this type of story. So Cummins, some of you aren't local. They're down in Columbus, Indiana, 2.5 hours from here. Largest independent diesel manufacturer in the world. They're an odd company in that they're the only diesel manufacturer that doesn't have a parent company who also makes trucks. So they have to compete against, they have to sell to people who have their own engines. Very difficult, right? All over the country, really big, 20 billion. So Cummins makes engines from, little power generators to light duty trucks like Dodge Ram. Now they got the Nissan Titan, over-the-road semi-trucks, trains, giant mining equipment in Chile, all that stuff, it's everywhere. And those engines produce a ton of torque. They also produce a ton of data. Cummins is basically a software company that happens to have a diesel engine around their sensors they put in their trucks. Tons, terabyte a week, right? So anywhere in the world where any of these engines are, when they're in use, they're sending back every 5 minutes, unless it's a fault code, which is instantly, back to headquarters, back to CloudOne, actually, but back to Cummins. Why? What's the value of that? Well, there's a lot of programs. The first one's called Connected Diagnostics. And before this came out, if you're a truck driver, right, driving down the highway, and you get a check engine light, what do? You might want to take a guess. Keep on driving. Why? Because you're paid on miles, man. For my car, I think it's like an O2 sensor. It's BS. I'm not pulling over. My car's in the shop. It just happened. But they just keep on driving. Major problem in the industry. It breaks. You see those trucks on the side of the road. It's a reason because they ignored all the signs. So with Cummins, that light goes on. That thing gets found, fired up, and the cell network goes back to Cummins. In this case, when it's during ingestion phase of the data, it's pulled out. It's like imagine like a winery pulling out the bag grapes. It pulls this out quickly. 28 seconds later, a lot of things happen. But if it's a urgent communication on the guy's phone, a text or a call to say, this actually is major. There's a Cummins facility 20 miles up. We'll give you directions. You need to go there. They're waiting for you. Two things have happened with Cummins. First of all, their customers have saved buckets of money just on prevention of towing bills, lack of downtime. In the mining industry, it's $1 million a day if that giant crane's done. Prevents all of it. And secondly, their revenue has skyrocketed. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars because, same story as, there's a pattern here, right? If you're like Swift Trucking, Cummins engine or whatever, Mack, take Cummins, same price, and I get this for free, right? And maybe they're spending some amount of money on this, but compared to what they're making, it's nothing, right? It's changing their industry, changing their business. They plan on making $500 million in new revenue next year by 2017. So in the next 18 months, $500 million from this. Okay, I want to do a quick video. It's 3 minutes long, but this gives you their voice to what they're doing, not just loudmouth up here telling you what you may or may not believe. This is a video from them to their trucking customers.
Connected Diagnostics, the lifeline for your Cummins engine when you need it most. Cummins Connected Diagnostics application wirelessly connects your engine system to the expert guidance of Cummins during an engine system fault. Compatible with all equipment manufacturers and leading telematics providers, Connected Diagnostics immediately transforms Cummins engine system data into effective, actionable information delivered virtually anywhere within seconds. The moment an engine system triggers a fault, a lamp alerts the operator to the fault. This lamp, however, may not provide enough information to make the best decision on what action to take. Connected Diagnostics removes the guesswork from urgent engine system faults. With Connected Diagnostics, key engine system data is now instantly transmitted through your equipment's telematics system to Cummins for immediate analysis. A clear recommendation based upon this expert analysis is sent instantly to you, enabling informed decision-making for maximum uptime of your equipment. Connected Diagnostics' broad reporting compatibility allows this guidance to be sent to you through fleet management software, data integration systems, email, or practically any output you choose. Every Connected Diagnostics report includes the effective information that you need to manage the fault long before your mission is impacted. This information includes equipment and engine identification, the recommended action from Cummins, prioritized fault codes with primary fault identification, the suggested root cause, and engine performance D-rate notification, including the operating hours until the D-rate begins. Connected Diagnostics output also includes a populated link to Cummins Service Locator to identify the nearest locations in Cummins network certified to repair your engine system. And for additional support, you can contact a representative at Cummins Care who has access to your Connected Diagnostics fault report and can recommend the best fit service location based upon fault event details for faster and more accurate repairs of your equipment. Connected Diagnostics is the lifeline for your engine. Expert information delivered immediately. Designed to help reduce downtime, keep you in the driver's seat, and ultimately enable your operation success. Connected Diagnostics is available today to add more value to your operation. And there is more to come. Cummins will soon deliver more connected solutions to improve your uptime and efficiency, driving improvement to your bottom line. Every Cummins connected solution is designed to meet the needs of every customer in every market powered by Cummins electronic engines. On and off highway, around the world, all connected every time.
So you notice, no talk about torque and fuel economy. It's this, right? Okay. So we got the theme over and over again. It's the way the companies either survive or differentiate or make more. If I asked the guy in charge of this, what was the reason behind this really? He's like, sell more engines, right? It's the new way to compete in the industry. So that's what we're seeing. Again, it's never called IoT. It's called something else. Connected this, telematics that, smart this, right? But it's the same thing. And what the same thing is this. Very simply, and we'll dive into this a little bit because I think it's important. This is basically what IoT is for organizations. They have to get into this business. Essentially, we're talking about software development and data analytics. You got to make software, you got to put it somewhere. It creates data, you got to get it and do something with it. That's the sales guy way to say it, right? That's it. So, requirements. They have to go to the vendor, like Panasonic. We're not the vendor, GM is, right? And they have to say, what do you want? And they get requirements to gather that in these tools they buy. They have to design the software from the ground up to meet the requirements. Very difficult to do. Get a bunch of bodies to start coding after this stuff. Sometimes the code is used before, you got to reuse it. Then you got to test back to it. Anybody in the software business at all? Anybody? A little bit? This is classic, right? It's agile, it's iterative, it happens quickly. They got to test back, they got to make sure it can handle the load, does it do what the requirements want? It's a cycle, it's a whole new business that these companies have to get into, whether they outsource it or not. Then it goes somewhere. Now sometimes it's not something in a thing, it can be like, we have a client who has a site crawler that looks for any sentiment about their product right away in like 90 sites and Twitter and stuff, and so if they see things about something that says, I don't like this, or it feels funny, or they have bad warranty problems, they get it quick and they change the manufacturing process. That's not in a thing. Same thing though, it's software that's producing data. This part is the new part in the last 5 years where they have to get in this world of collecting data. So whether it's from networks or how it gets to them, they've got to, another word is called ingestion. It's complex because what are they collecting, right? Is it little pieces of information? Is it giant payloads? Is it coming in big buckets? Is it 24 hours? Is it, are there different kinds coming in, different forms? If something goes down, is there a caching so they don't lose the data at all? They got to put it somewhere. You guys have heard the term Hadoop, right? Anybody heard that? Yeah, all that. So the old days, it was the rows and tables of database. Now, that database notion doesn't work because we're talking about trillions and trillions of pieces of data that never goes away. It gets bigger and bigger. Well, how do you use that and index it? You can't do it anymore in the old way. You have to use data lakes like Hadoop, things called non-SQL, NoSQL, goofy names, Cassandra, Mongo. It's a new way of collecting a ton of data, indexing it, and then knowing where to get to really quickly, right? Modeling tools, predictive analytics tools. You got to take the data, you got to ask questions from it to get answers you're looking for. There's a giant industry of people who just make these tools so you to analyze data. And then you have to present it back to your constituents, right? Is it a text? Is it a graph? Is it a report? Is it a phone call? It has to be visualized so the end user can understand what you're doing. This is something that none of these guys, right, that making hamburgers or whatever, car radios, didn't do 8 years ago. That's why it's so two things. One, it's changing their business, and secondly, there's a giant industry of people like us, we're a small player, but that feed off this because they don't know how to do it, right? Well, a couple other stuff together, make it all work. Got to figure out how that's all going to work. You have to deploy it in a private space that's also collaborative to your vendors and your customers. You have to manage that, like last time, like the software development story, take trouble tickets, patches, security, all that stuff, and it never changes, right? I have new demands, I have new products. This industry is changing very fast. Pull old one out, put a new one in. Somebody has to do this. This is really what SaaS is, software as a service. It's software as a service. Here it is, use it, we'll take care of all this stuff. Oh, I forgot to click. These are the 4 boxes, sorry. Okay, so, IoT is really this. We went down really deep. Let's go back up. It's these components, right? Things connected to networks that go to a place for analyzation. And the industry really is made up of 3 kind of players out there. We have engagers, which are the companies we just talked about. These are the people that have a service or a product, and they're using IoT to engage with their customers to improve their business. We have enhancers. Those are the companies that make tools that these guys use to get their IoT initiatives off the ground and use, right? Analytics products and storage products and ingestion tools. Thousands of companies, $1 trillion business, right? And then there's people like us, I call us the janitors. We just kind of make it all kind of keep it clean and keep it working, right? Put it somewhere, put it in an infrastructure that works, manage it all so they can keep selling their software and these guys can keep growing and engaging their customers. This is the world we live in. And so these 3 players are what help somebody like Panasonic go from that to this. Thank you.